You know, whenever I have a bad day at the office, I look to AEW to cheer me up. Not because I have my Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho figures, but because my new Cody figure from Walmart or RingsideCollectibles.com can smash them both. Get out of here. Get to Walmart, pick them up from Jazzwares.
The other thing I want to ask about here, Palmer Cannon. Haven't spent a lot of time talking about him. What a strange little run he had. What can you tell us about Palmer Cannon?
You know, Palmer was someone that came out of the UPN agreement and relationship, if you will. Not really the agreement, I'd say the relationship, in that we were looking for something different and a way to introduce a new character, because sometimes the representatives from networks can be a little bit of a pain in the ass to those of us on the inside. In those days, I think that as time wore on, it's funny how it ran the gambit from early on, Bonnie Hammer being such a positive and really good relationship with the company to help us turn things around and to work with us in such a positive way through the years, that sometimes those relationships could become contentious, and that the network, a la UPN and some of those, could be try to wield more power than they actually had, or what they thought that they had. So this was just another way to do it. And I think that in general, during this time, that people that ran networks were becoming more and more prominent in the networks. You had Les Moonves and Jeff Zucker and folks like that were becoming prominent in the news in general, that you never really got to know the people behind the scenes. So we took a network rep and put him on camera, made him a character. And Palmer Cannon was that character. As we got into it, I don't know that he was really ready mentally, maturity-wise, to be on the road and be a part of the business at that time. He was a worker. He was a guy fresh out of the developmental system. He was fresh in the developmental system, and I just don't think that he was ready for the business.
Yeah, he started with Deep South in 05, and we're still talking about this in 05. He debuts on TV August 25th of 05. And I guess as the story goes, in April of the following year, he flew himself home from a tour over in Italy and gave notice to the officials. And he cited harassment, allegedly, from Benoit, JBL, and Wrestlers Court as the reason that he decided to resign. And he's granted his release about a week later. But this is a strange, interesting little story in wrestling that maybe we'll get a little deeper on someday, but it just feels weird. I mean, the guy debuts and he's hired with the company. A few months later, he's on TV in a very prominent role. And a handful of months later, that's all she wrote, folks.
Yeah, it was an idea that was quickly put together, and I don't know that it was really all the way thought out, and it didn't work. So we moved on, and the human being behind the character didn't work either. So we just moved on, and sometimes
it bees that way.
It bees that way. You think you've got a great idea, and it just didn't pan out.
WWE's most recent quarterly earnings report in this era, going into the October pay-per-view, show the total revenues for the quarter were $93.8 million compared to $86.1 million for the prior year. $11.2 million of that is profit. Revenues from the live and televised entertainment arms were $68.6 million compared to $65.2. Pay-per-view revenues, they're also up. They were 16.9. Now they're 21.6. Live event revenues are actually down a little bit, going from 17.9 down to 16.5, but the company was running fewer shows here. But merchandise, wow, way up, 25.2 million as compared to 16.4 million. I'm curious because these days we've heard, I don't know, gosh, for maybe the last 3 or 4 years, that there may be fewer fans watching, but those fans who are watching are more passionate and are more likely to invest financially in the product with merchandise and live events and pay-per-views, et cetera, et cetera. Do you find that to be true, that while there may be fewer people watching, they're more likely to spend, they're more diehard?
I think anytime that your audience shrinks like that, of course, the hardcores that stay are those that are more loyal and willing to support the product. They're the ones that are always going to be there to support the product. So yeah, maybe they are spending more. Maybe you find out they're the ones that for the most part are contributing the most to the bottom line. So yeah, I think your hardcores are always going to be there, and they're always going to support the company, however it may be.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.